Joey Porter Jr. faces injury concerns ahead of Steelers' home opener. The Pittsburgh Steelers are gearing up for their highly anticipated home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. However, they may have to navigate this crucial matchup without a vital piece of their secondary. Injury woes pile up for the Steelers. Following a hard-fought victory over the New York Jets in Week 1, the Steelers have already seen their defensive lineup shaken up. Starting safety Deshaun Elliott exited the game due to a knee injury, prompting the team to bolster their roster with veteran Jabril Peppers. Now, as they prepare for Seattle, the team is confronted with the possibility of losing another key player, third-year cornerback Joey Porter Jr. Porter Jr. was notably absent from the latest practice session, raising concerns about his availability for the upcoming game. His inclusion on the injury report is a troubling sign for a player who had been making strides in the Steelers' defense. Ezoic. Coach Tomlin offers optimism. Despite the uncertainty, head coach Mike Tomlin provided a glimmer of hope during his weekly press conference. He discussed Porter's situation, noting, "Joey Porter wasn't able to finish the game with a hamstring. I'm optimistic about his availability, but I'll let the quality of his work and the amount of his work during the week be our guide there." The Steelers are counting on Porter Jr. to recover quickly, especially after he played a significant role in the defensive game plan last week, contributing to 69% of the team's defensive snaps before his injury. His absence was felt as veterans Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay were forced to shoulder the load, with Slay playing the entire game, a strategy that did not yield the best results. Secondary depth in question. The Steelers are facing a critical moment with their secondary. In addition to Porter Jr., the injury report lists 3 other non-participants. Elliott continues to recover from his knee injury, while backup offensive lineman Calvin Anderson was sidelined due to illness. Rookie defensive tackle Derek Harmon is also working his way back from a knee issue. Although veteran leaders Cam Hayward and TJ Watt were absent, their absence was classified as a veteran rest day, which adds another layer of complexity to the team's preparations. A silver lining: Nick Herbig's progress. On a more positive note, linebacker Nick Herbig is showing signs of improvement. After missing the season opener due to injury, he returned as a limited participant in practice. Tomlin expressed optimism about Herbig's prospects for the upcoming game, stating, "Really optimistic and hopeful about Nick Herbig being available for us this week." As the Steelers look to solidify their defense against a potent Seattle offense, the health of their players, particularly Porter Jr., will be pivotal. The team will continue to monitor their situation as they inch closer to Sunday's clash. 4-time first-team All-Pro defensive lineman Cameron Hayward declined to discuss his new contract incentives after the Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the New York Jets. Hayward then didn't address the topic on the September 10th episode of his podcast, Not Just Football. But Hayward wasn't going to be able to publicly avoid his reworked contract the entire season. The defensive lineman addressed the incentives added to his new deal in front of reporters Thursday. "I'm only realizing how more I'm relieved because I'm sleeping a lot better. I'm glad to put that behind us," Hayward said, via DK Pittsburgh Sports. "I'm glad I can just focus on football and go out there and earn it." The Steelers agreed to add $3.2 million in incentives to Hayward's 2025 contract. TripLive.com's Joe Rutter reported Thursday that Hayward will earn half of his incentives if he posts 8 sacks, and the Steelers make the postseason. Hayward will get the other half of his incentive should he register 11.5 sacks, and the Steelers win a playoff game. If Hayward and the Steelers achieve both, he will make a little under $18 million for 2025. According to Spotrac, the defensive lineman will receive $14.75 million in cash for this season. Steelers and Cameron Hayward reached contract compromise. The defensive lineman received the opportunity for additional pay in 2025. He will get the chance to make more money despite the Steelers' usual team policy of not addressing contracts that have more than 2 years remaining. But while those were wins for Hayward, he will potentially give up something too. Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio reported if Hayward doesn't play more than 30% of Pittsburgh's defensive snaps in 2025, his roster bonus will drop to $875,000. That's a big risk for Hayward. His 2026 roster bonus before the restructured deal was set to be $12.95 million. But the new term will protect the Steelers if the 36-year-old suffers a serious injury. While a great risk, Hayward appears to see it as part of NFL negotiations. It has to be a compromise on both sides, Hayward told reporters. I understand they don't normally do it, new deals with 2 years left. All I'm asking is for an opportunity to go out and earn it. Hayward motivated to win Super Bowl, not to reach incentives. NFL teams often include incentives in contracts to provide players extra motivation. But Hayward portrayed the notion that his drive to play well and win couldn't be any higher. It doesn't motivate me any more than before, Hayward added. The goal is not to just win a playoff game, it's to win a Super Bowl. This is more icing on the cake. Hayward and his family will undoubtedly enjoy the extra $3.2 million if the defensive lineman earns it. But as the saying goes, money comes and goes. With 5 All-Pro nominations and 7 Pro Bowls, Hayward has cemented himself as one of the best defensive linemen in team history. But he's missing playoff success on his resume. A Super Bowl is the last accomplishment Hayward has left to achieve to truly cement his Steelers' legacy. Going back to last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been trying to upgrade their number 2 wide receiver spot. For a brief moment this offseason, they had their answer, but then they traded George Pickens. Since then, they've poked around a few different receivers, but they haven't made any significant additions. However, perhaps that could change if Miami Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill becomes available. Could he potentially be on the move? NFL insider James Palmer said recently on Bleacher Report's YouTube channel. Certainly. Could it be closer to the trade deadline? That's much more likely. This could be a 4th-round pick. This could be a 5th-round pick. It could be somewhere in that range, but it's not something that the Dolphins are entertaining right now, to my understanding. It's something they didn't entertain in the offseason. Teams called during the offseason as they were watching the Dolphins go through this process. Teams asked, and the Dolphins said no. Could that change before the course of the trade deadline? Certainly, but it's way too early to do that. Hill has been one of the best receivers in the league for several years. His speed makes him electric, and he has been a first-team All-Pro multiple times. In 2023, he posted his 3rd straight season of over 100 receptions, pairing that with 1,799 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns. However, Hill had a down year in 2024. He caught 81 passes for 954 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's still a fine year, but it doesn't meet Hill's standards. His relationship with the Dolphins looked like it soured last season, culminating in a trade request this offseason. While he walked that back eventually, things still seemed tense in Miami. Hill had an underwhelming Week 1, catching 4 passes for 40 yards as the Dolphins got blown out by the Indianapolis Colts. If things continue to go wrong for the Dolphins, then maybe Hill will be on the move. If Palmer is correct, then it shouldn't cost much in the way of draft capital to acquire him. While he could be on the decline, even if he's only as good as he was last year, he could be an upgrade for the Steelers. However, the situation is more complicated than that. Hill is being investigated on allegations of domestic violence. His history with the law isn't pretty, to say the least. Therefore, that issue could have a dramatic impact on the Steelers' potential interest in him. We'll see how things with Hill develop as the season progresses. It doesn't seem like anything major is imminent with him, though. The Steelers' offense had a good showing in Week 1, so maybe they don't need to upgrade at wide receiver. The next few weeks should help make this picture a little clearer.